Welcome to the Field Notes podcast, presented by Seaworthy Functional Medicine. Seaworthy exists to help you overcome your complex health challenges so you can be fully vital. Now, here's your host, Dr. Rob Downey.
What do we need to know about social connection as a pillar of our health and longevity? Today, we are so fortunate to be joined by Dr. Avinish Reddy. Dr. Reddy, thanks for your time today.
Thanks so much for having me. Excited to speak to your audience.
Parenthetically, Dr. Reddy is manifesting social connection as he speaks to us. He's tying this into some family time over Thanksgiving, so he's practicing what he preaches.
Of
And
course.
as many of us in this space try to do. So, Dr. Reddy, like a lot of our thought leaders, has a very exciting and extensive background. In summary, he's a physician. He's a protege of Dr. Peter Attia in Medicine 3.0. And then this is, I think, really cool. He has a bespoke concierge practice, and that word bespoke is evocative to me of our mantra for our patients. Each plan is a tailored jacket made just for that person. But what an array of tools, VO2 max, genetics, full body, MRI, just some phenomenal state-of-the-art things. What's so great today, though, is that we get to talk about social connection, which I wouldn't say is neglected, but I would say people really do want to know more about because they're hearing that social isolation is the new smoking and they want to know what to do, but they don't necessarily know the science or the daily practices. So what a blast getting to go into this.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's exciting to talk about something that, everyone knows it's kind of common knowledge, but they don't understand how to implement it, or more importantly, they don't understand how much it actually means for their longevity and like the quality of their life as they age.
Right. Well, let's get right to it then. So what do they need to know about that?
So I think everyone and luckily over the past like 3 or 4 years, people have really learned how much exercise, nutrition, and sleep make a difference in their longevity and how long they live, and honestly, how well they live. People are now tracking, how much they sleep with their Aura Ring or their Whoop. They're on MyFitnessPal tracking their calories or how many steps they take. But I think what's really overlooked is this, we have objective data, but like the subjective portion of like the strength of our relationship with our friends and our family, it's very important. And there's a lot of data that tells us that this makes such a big difference in their lives.
Well, share with us what some of those things are. How can people sort of land on that information and understand it? So, what's the science or what's the connections?
So, I mean, there's the Harvard study of happiness, which tells us, you know, the strength of our relationships makes a difference in not just the quality and the happiness of our life, but how long we live. We know that social isolation increases the risk for early death by up to 50%. And so these data factors really make a difference in people understanding that we need to place a bigger importance on our friends, our family, and the more we lean on them, the more they'll lean on you.
Hmm. Well, do you think do you think people need to know sort of the neuroimmune connection or the neurogenetic connection or the neurolongevity connection? Do they need to understand the science to embrace this? Do Western industrialized citizens have to kind of land on the science to feel motivated to follow through, or do they reverse engineer it and kind of feel it in their body, that in the moment, that good feeling when they call their brother rather than doom scroll? How do you recommend people sort of segue into this space?
I mean, I think you made it like such a good example. It's like how do we get people motivated about it, or how do we explain it to people so that they care? And I like to think about this in a simple thing of safety signals. Like I think we all have this feeling when we see our parents or we talk to our parents or we're in their presence, this sigh of relief. And it's not it's not something that is like just one person. It's a physiological reaction of our heart rate drops, our quality of sleep is improved. We see it in young children, but we see it in people that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s as well. And so leaning into that feeling of like heart rate dropping, that stress relief feeling, it's it's measurable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. I really, in preparing for today's session, even just looking at the things we thought about investigating and the work, I even find the language beautiful. The longevity blueprint, the overlooked pillar. I just kind of feel it in my heart,
Yeah.
even. And I think as somebody that drifted into some inadvertent, oh, uh, well, as my personal experience of there being kind of a dichotomy of being innately sort of a connector, but some of those insecurities that creep into our lives over the years, like uh, some disconnection from others. I
Yeah.
end up talking to my patients about it a lot. Uh, should we talk then about maybe a good thing would be habits next? Let's presume this savvy audience says, yeah, I know the data's there, but I sort of don't know how, or I feel stuck in social media, or it's hard with my job, or I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I think about creating habits, it's like what's doable and what's not doable, right? People talk about exercise and they make it overwhelming, like 12,000 steps or 4 hours a week of cardio and 3 hours of strength training. I think how can we be effective with this and what's the low-hanging fruit? I think number one, call your parents every day. I mean, what's easier than that? How long does that take? We all are driving to work or driving back from work or going on a walk. Call your parents. It's easy. It brings us like relief and stress. There's a lot of benefits, but also it it's easy to
Mm,
do, and I think all of us feel the relief.
mm. It's remarkable to me that somebody that does work at the level, I think of somebody that does work at the level you do as kind of like a space mission or something. I mean, it's really in the ether, right?
Yeah.
It's so what happens when you have, let's say, a traveling executive and they sign up with you and they're focused on their VO2 max and you say, it's really important to call your parents daily.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's where it goes back to what we were talking about before. Showing them the data, and I mean, they'll find
Yeah.
the difference pretty quickly on. And
Hmm.
so I
Hmm.
think inevitably with my practice, I think a lot of the things that you're measuring, it's not like it helps me. It's more, it gets patients to understand the meaning of this.
Mm.
When you can tell someone going from below average to above average in VO2 max reduces your risk as much as going from smoking to non-smoking, that means something to to patients. They're able to visualize what that means.
Hmm. Well, so calling our folks, just share a couple more habits if you would, and then we'll segue into what young people might benefit from.
Yeah, so I think like taking a walk with your significant other or friend gets your movement in as well as that social connection, building relationships. I think people now are getting so obsessed with diet and making sure they're always clean, but going out to dinner with friends, it's fine. Once a week, you can have a cheat meal, and I think it's important to understand a balance when we're doing all this stuff, exercise, nutrition. But I think joining a walking club, doing a group fitness class. I think my goal when I want patients to implement lifestyle changes, exercise, diet, social connection, sleep, how can we interconnect these? So joining a basketball league, eating with friends, eating healthy with friends. I think it's important because if we want to continue these lifestyle changes for not from January 1 to March 1st or 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. If we want to continue these lifestyle effects for decades, we have to do it with the people that we spend most of our time with. And so
Mm.
you see the 70-year-old that gets injured, and what makes them want to get back to their basketball league or golf or pickleball? It's not the exercise. It's, oh, I want to play with my friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Are there differences between doorways into this understanding for young people and where their barriers are versus people who are 50, 60, 70 plus?
I mean, the barriers come down to like what they feel, and
Hmm.
that's the biggest thing. I call these times the 30s, 40s mainly. It's like the silent decade of health, right? You don't feel those joint pains. You don't feel the effects of 5 hours of sleep. You're able to, we did residency. We slept 5 hours. It was fine. You just went to work the next day, but you're not feeling the effects of the pain that these joint pains, the lack of sleep, the effects that's going to have in your 50s, 60s, 70s. So how do we get people that don't feel the ill effects to care? Um, that's the hard part, and that's our job as doctors is explaining to them, telling them the education to want to build good habits now.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and thankfully it's a neat time to be in practice. There are a lot of folks that are fired up about things they can't feel, and they do want to be really effective or good at their job or perform well in their sport, sleep better, be less anxious.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, a
yeah,
lot of things. I mean, this is the 30s and 40s. People think about heart attacks like, oh, this 60-year-old, this 70-year-old had a heart attack, but plaque is building in your 30s, 40s, and 50s as well. We got to start thinking, as a society, we have to start thinking about heart disease not as a 10-year risk horizon, but a 30-year risk horizon.
yeah.
What is this patient's chance of having a heart attack in the next 30 years?
Hmm.
Because we know that a 30-year-old is very unlikely to have a heart attack by the age of 40. But as we build in these data points, we gotta start treating people aggressively. And that's
Hmm.
why I recommend a continuous glucose monitor as well. We want to get ahead of insulin resistance and get them while they can make a
Yeah.
difference.
Do you do you ever see people's social connection flatten their insulin and blood sugar? Do you ever have them report those little breakthrough moments like they thought it was going to be sleep or exercise, but then when they started calling their parents, they saw their blood sugar flatten?
I mean, I think more than anything, it's the stress, right? I've worn a continuous glucose monitor and had an important meeting, and I see my blood glucose spiking, not spiking, but going to the 120s, 125s. It's like, why is this happening? And it's like
Yeah,
cortisol release. And so you'll see the same effects when you are with your wife or you're talking to your parents or whoever you feel comfortable with. It doesn't have
yeah,
to be parents or significant other. It's that drop in stress. It's
yeah,
You'll notice the effects.
yeah. Yeah, I got to interview Tom Blue, the holistic entrepreneur, and he had presumed bananas were pushing his blood glucose around, but it was the train. It was being on the, it was
Yeah.
commuting. And
Yeah.
so he brought his bananas back and started putting in some, I don't know, binaural beats or something 10 minutes before getting on the train. And I uh I like what you said. Correct me if I'm wrong, but folks really, really can strongly resonate with stress. Uh, Sometimes with things like meditation or social connection, they kind of have to feel it in their body or try it repeatedly to maybe sort of break the spell of disconnection or something like that. But it's such a great form of stress management. I think a lot of the science I love is that humans are we creatures, not I creatures. We're built to connect. There's all kinds of mirroring neurons, and the science goes on endlessly. So if people give themselves that privilege to connect, it just feels so good, and physiology starts going the right direction. Do you want to comment at all? I find a lot of people are kind of shut down at the level of digestion, immunity, and fertility when they're not getting enough social connection. I think, I guess, presumably it's sort of sympathetic overdrive, right? But they just seem kind of shut down until they're socially connecting, maybe because again, those pathways aren't turned on.
Yeah, I mean, I think inevitably people that don't have social connection are relying internally a lot more than they should be. They're not externally. facing their stress. And so it has effects on inflammation, it has effects on your sleep, has effects on your glucose. All- That's it brings me back to the beginning portion. It's like everyone understands how much exercise and diet and sleep makes a difference on how they feel and their physical health, but it's very overlooked the way emotional health, relationships make a difference on your physical health as well. And
Hmm.
so these
Hmm.
social connections, they're not something that people should not worry about till later.
Yeah. Well, you talked about some things that we can do. A lot of your folks, I'm sure, do track things. And do some people kind of need to, is there a way to track social connection? Do some people need to do that to start ticking some points?
I always get that question. It's like, well, the whole point of social connection is to feel it and just do it, right? Like that's the hardest part. It's like, oh, we wear an Oura ring to track our sleep. We wear a continuous glucose monitor our glucose. Th- This is a subjective matter, and I think the only other thing that I can think of when I try and explain to my patients, be present, it's can we enforce a 1 hour no phone, no laptop like
Hmm.
situation at home? I think that has, for me, that has been the hardest thing to get my patients to implement, but the easiest thing for them to see results. Like 1 hour away from phone and laptop or email makes such a difference in how much they feel like they connected with their kids during dinner or their wife. Like, I mean, it sounds
Yeah.
stupid, but boredom or non-email, non-news
Yeah.
breeds a different conversation. An hour
Yeah.
without technology breeds a completely different conversation than I just got this email. Do we pay this bill? Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is so important. I guess I'll articulate it this way. Having an expert say that this particular thing, that the tracking itself is kind of a catch-22, and that
Yeah,
part of what you
exactly.
need a
The
break
first thing you
from
asked
is the
me was like,
tracking.
is there a way we can track this? It's like,
Yeah.
you gotta feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on this journey too. I've always suspected that anything that I do well, maybe my own daily experience, or I've said to my patients frequently, I've said, you can be a pulmonologist who tells your patients not to smoke and you're smoking, but I guess if it's in the parking lot in secret, mechanistically you can sort of get away with it.
Yeah.
But I think if you're doing the work we do, the lived experience is really important.
Yeah.
And all the I really this connection stuff with I find a lot of the social discord uh feels to me like, again, that's undercutting people's health. Uh I go back to this phrase the Dalai Lama His Holiness Dalai Lama gave a lecture in Central Park many, many years ago, and he said, "We're good at I, we're not so good at we."
Yeah. Yeah.
And and um, and so I think all these problems we have to solve matter, and people's opinions matter, and their stances. But I find just with my patients that maybe I love it that I'm basically obligated ethically to meet people as human beings, and when the door closes to the patient room, or we're on the televideo monitor, their political beliefs don't matter at all. Just their humanity
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah.
And so the other day when I was kind of struggling with Discord, I had noticed these new birds that became aware of in the Alaskan winter. Like I've got chickadees back on these trees because they stay around in the winter. They're kind of icons of resilience. And then I
Yeah.
found about red poles and how they do the same thing together. And I was thinking about red poles, and I just thought how refreshed I felt to reflect on nature. My sort of weird thought was they don't care about politics. They're just doing their thing. They're just connecting with their tribe day to day,
Yeah.
and it was just refreshing for me to get out of my head, I guess, out of my head and into my heart.
Yeah. And I think that, technology is great. It helps us with social connection as well, right? I have a 2-year-old who wants to FaceTime my parents all the time. He wants to see his grandparents, but it's using technology for good and making sure that we're still present. when we should be. And I think that's the hardest part with technology. It's like using it the right amount to benefit, but not using it too much to where we're seeing the detriment of it, which is like
Mm,
doom scrolling, social media, all that stuff.
yeah. Yeah. Well, if you could reshape how society thinks about staying healthy, what would you what would you spotlight?
I mean, I would say like kind of what we've talked about so much so far so much. It's like there's so much data out there and it's easy to get obsessed with tracking sleep, tracking your exercise. But I think what we're really missing that, people are more excited, I think, to be healthy and to watch their diet and watch their exercise. But we're losing with technology, we're losing a lot of that general movement. So we're working from home, we're ordering our Whole Foods groceries and our Target. But what we really need to be doing is kind of, is it social connection? Getting out there, going to the mall and buying our clothes, going to the grocery store and grabbing stuff, like going into office if we can, right? Like
Hmm.
for me, most of my practice is telemedicine. And I mean, I think
Hmm.
that's a challenging part of bonding with my patients, but it also allows me to reach a lot more people. And so I
Hmm.
always tell my patients, like, of course, we'll do as much as we can through telemedicine, but I want to get out there and see you as well. So
Mm.
I'll come in and do a VO2 max with them or come with them to their DEXA, whatever. I mean, I
Hmm.
think as doctors, we need to believe in the social connection too, because that's when our patients trust us, that's when they're gonna, you know, follow
Hmm.
what we believe.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of think they pick up on our energy too. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a brightness in our eyes or our skin's flat, or got good color. I don't know. There's a vibrancy or something that is appealing.
Yeah, of course.
We're lucky enough we've got some time available to talk about longevity and health span. And because you're so good at this, I'd love it if we could take a few minutes doing that.
Of course.
I find the irony. I mean, I think that, the genesis of functional medicine and Jeff Bland and David Jones was they saw their parents aging. They went to an integrative conference together in Washington. They just were chatting and said we could do this better for for the care of our parents. And now they're at the age their parents were 35 years later. And their observation was that people were living a significant amount of time, their lifespan, but their health span was really significantly compromised by chronic cumulative burdens, disease. And then as I was reviewing your materials, you were talking about people being sharp playing cards at 100 and doubles tennis at 70, and just these things that are all decades beyond. Uh, do you think that as people embrace these ideas or they work with you, then is some of it still sort of technological? Like, do these aging clocks help your patients know uh, if they're getting the job done or not?
I don't think the aging clocks are there yet, but I do think that getting a DEXA scan, knowing the fat surrounding your organs, meaning visceral adipose tissue, knowing your muscle mass, doing a VO2 max test and seeing where you stand compared to people of the same gender and same age. These are important data points that help us understand how you're going to age when you're later, right? Like if someone were to tell me they want to be able to walk a half marathon or whatever at the age of 90, what does that mean you have to do now at the age of 50 or 60?
Hmm.
Because we know that you're going to decline as you reach 60s and 70s and 80s. And so my goal for my patients is we talked about midlife and young people. What can you do? You build up that strength, you build up that aerobic exercise and build up that cardiovascular capacity so that you're at the peak of the mountaintop at 60, 65, 70. So when you are declining, you have more room.
Mm, mm. Fascinating. I mean, even though I came into today's conversation kind of thinking about this like the space program or a moonshot, like so many elegant principles, at root, this is very commonsensical. This
Yeah.
is about investing in the self.
Yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
mean, some of the stuff's even easy, right? Like a hearing exam, for example. There's so many people that one don't do it or two don't wearing their hearing aids, but studies are showing that people that have hearing loss that don't wear their hearing aids, it increases your risk for dementia. It increases your risk for social isolation.
Mm.
Social isolation increases your risk for diabetes, inflammation, and early death. So wear your hearing aids. Like it doesn't seem
Yeah,
that complicated, but it can be.
yeah, yeah. Could not more heartily endorse that. I also, my experience has been folks, if they've got more reserve, again, more sort of fluidity and how they can relate to things, relate to technology, it's easier to adopt hearing aids earlier. When they're farther into the process of hearing loss, there's a kind of discordant, this is too much, I'm hearing more than I expected.
Yeah.
But
Well, they also get used to being socially isolated, right? At the beginning of losing their hearing loss, they're like, "Oh, I'm not involved in this conversation." Or they're at a party, like, "Oh, this
yeah,
is weird. I'm not involved." But oh,
yeah.
after even a year or two, they're like, "Oh, this is common." I kind of sit back and let other people talk.
Yeah, it's just a takeaway for our audience or somebody you care about in the audience. This one is a really big, everything today is a big deal, but this one in particular, I can't think of a single person I've talked to that doesn't use their hearing aids that hasn't uh, sclerosed or calcified somewhat in
Yeah.
the
I
vibrancy
think
of their.
there's multiple reasons for why, right? It's
Mhm.
one, your brain is probably at cognitive overload trying to hear, but two, you're isolated. You probably aren't having as many conversations. You're probably not active mentally as much as you were. Like everything becomes more difficult.
Well, if we can't hear, we're going to cover it over. We're going to mask it. We're going to
Yeah.
just end up with this sort of denuded architecture of relation compared to what it is when we can hear. So, yeah, now that technology is crazy good, syncing it up to your phone, damping certain tones. I mean, there's really a lot of room to tweak it. Uh, have there been any surprises for you from when you started doing your work until now? Like things you know now you didn't know at the beginning? Did you have assumptions when you went into it that have changed now?
I mean, I think the data is always changing, so it's about trying to keep on top of it. But I think more than anything, it's the one thing I've really realized is you can have the perfect protocol set up, this many hours of exercise, sleep 8 hours, but the goal is to personalize it to each patient because there's no point in telling someone who works 80 hours to exercise for 10 hours, sleep 8 hours a day, get in the sauna, get in a cold plunge. We really need to understand where the person is in their life and what their goals are and build an efficient protocol for them.
Hmm. Well, I was just getting ready. I saw there's this focus in your work on all of this wisdom and science, but that there's a deep humanity in it. That's what I'm hearing you say right now. There's a human connection to building the plan and
Yeah.
a compassion for the person's uh, a compassionate engagement with their 80-hour week as a place to start from.
Yeah, and I think inevitably you want patients to feel encouraged about their healthcare. They're going to be willing to do more as you give them accomplishable tasks. And
Mhm.
so for me, it's always that when a person joins my practice, it's like, what are you willing to change about your nutrition, if anything? How many hours are you willing to give me for exercise? And how much sleep can you get? I'm gonna have different recommendations for a 40-year-old that has a 5-year-old and 3-year-old at home compared to like a 65-year-old that like, and so it's not very helpful for me to tell a 40-year-old dad or mom that has a 5-year-old that keeps getting into their bed, oh, you should really try and improve your sleep scores. You should really try and sleep better. That's not that helpful.
Yeah, yeah, keeping it real. I imagine folks are you accepting new patients into your
Yeah,
bespoke concierge practice?
yeah.
So we'll talk in just a second about how people can find you, but what's it like for people to work with you? And are there any of these issues that arise about working across state lines? I think people are really interested in that. I think they're often wondering structurally, how that
Yeah, I
does
mean,
that work?
I have a lot of state licenses because I have
Mhm.
patients reach out from wherever, so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
end up being an issue. But I think more than anything, it's the people that are in, like really encouraged about their healthcare or want to get involved, it's exciting for me to work with them, and they're excited as well to have someone that's looking at stuff proactively. And I think that's the goal is building that relationship with the patient so that they trust you and you're building the most efficient program for not just my physical well-being, but my mental and emotional as well.
Yeah. Anything you wanted to share today that we didn't get to?
I mean, I think we covered a lot. I think more than anything, I want people to understand that, social connection is great to talk about here. But it's encouraging just like how far healthcare has come in the last, what, 3 to 5 years. And oh, I have so many people that reach out to me. Oh, I got my DEXA scan done. I want to get a VO2 max. I think people's focus on exercise, nutrition, sleep, and now I'm hoping social connection becomes one of those pillars as well. It's encouraging that people care about this stuff and that they're putting in the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. Where can people find you, Dr. Reddy?
Yeah, I mean, social media, so X, Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my website, but
And what is the name of your website?
elevatedmedical.com, or you can just Google my name.
Super. Well, thanks a million for your time during this part of year that's for the restoration of yourself and your family and
Yeah,
uh
it's not Thanksgiving time, so everyone should have a cheat meal. Don't worry about your continuous glucose monitor.
there you go. Wow, you've got Dr. Reddy's blessing. Think about what you're going to play that card on. I'm going to play mine on dairy and gluten-free cheesecake I picked up to get ready to have a little treat at the end of the meal.
Oh,
So
mine's gonna be pumpkin pie.
nice, nice, a classic. Well, thanks again, and have a great day.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks for joining us for the Seaworthy podcast. Seaworthy exists to help people overcome their health challenges and be fully vital. If you think we've earned it, please consider giving this podcast a like, subscribing, and giving us a 5-star rating on the platform of your choice. Thanks.